What's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione here, and this is another edition of our Stage Ready series. In fact, this is the first episode. So if this is your first time stopping by, I'm Coach Gaglione, and I've been involved with powerlifting and strength coaching for over 14 years. I've been a competitive powerlifter for since 2006. I've coached a lot of people from all walks of life, and this particular year has been one of the final stages of my weight loss journey. For this chapter of my life anyway, I've been as heavy as 340 pounds. 9 years ago, I was 340 pounds, and then my weight has yo-yoed up and down for the past 9 years. And then back in back 5 years ago, I squatted 900 pounds in competition. My weight was ballooned back up to 335. And I've been on a weight loss journey. I've lost over 120 pounds. At the time of this taping, I'm just under 210. And been getting ready for my first bodybuilding show. I really wanted to kind of take this transformation to the next level. And for context, this is really, at this point, I'm very happy with my body. I'm happy with my health. My body fat is consistently under 15%, down from over 40%, which is crazy. This is the leanest, the healthiest, and the best my joints and body has felt my entire life, including my high school years. So this is not really a journey about the physical self or the physical body anymore. To me, it's more about a mental challenge, and I want to show people what's possible. So I could stop now, but I made a decision back this year that I was going to do a bodybuilding show. Originally, it was projected for May 30th, the Long Island Championships. Due to the coronavirus, that was canceled. The second show I entered on June 27th, canceled. So we're trying for third time's a charm, hopefully. So I'm aiming for August 1st. And regardless of whatever happens that's out of my control, I'm going to be stage ready. I'm going to be stage ready on August 1st, and that's the goal. So I'm hoping it will be an official stage, and if not, it'll happen at some point, but that is going to be kind of my end date right now. And we're going to take this bodybuilding journey as far as we can from now until August 1st. So at the time of this taping, we're about 8 weeks out. And I'm right now my leanest ever. We're actually just going up from a little bit of a calorie refeed, reverse diet, if you will. But today I want to focus on what my training is looking like, and specifically the weight training, the resistance training. So one of the biggest mistakes people have made is actually not doing strength training when they're trying to lose body fat and trying to weight loss. So I'm still using a lot of resistance training. I'm not necessarily doing a ton of heavy powerlifting right now. But I want to kind of go through my resistance training routine. You're going to get an inside look, a sneak peek of what that's looking like. So on the first day is kind of a pressing day, and we're kind of doing some warming up with some kind of band presses and flies, if you will, trying to get a good contraction at the top range of motion to kind of warm up the pecs and the shoulders, and also kind of switching that up with some band pull-aparts, some type of rear delt exercise. So I'm kind of, again, supersetting a lot. You're going to notice a lot of supersets here in the program, and that's going to improve training density so we can get more work done in less time. After that, the second movement was a Duffalo bar, which is essentially a cambered bar, so it's going to extend the range of motion. So to get a deeper stretch in the pecs, we did a Duffalo bar. Now, so the downside of the Duffalo bar, since it is an extended range of motion, it does put your shoulder in a vulnerable position if you don't have a lot of shoulder extension. So one of the things we did to mitigate that, to make it mechanically a little bit more efficient, we did a Duffalo bar versus 80 pounds of chain. The chains are a form of accommodating resistance, which makes it heavier at the top and lighter at the bottom, where you're the most vulnerable and you're mechanically the weakest. And it's heaviest at the top when the chains are off the floor and when you're at the strongest. So that's a great way to really mitigate some of those issues for any type of pressing or squatting movements, especially with a barbell, which could be sometimes potentially a little bit more joint stress. So that was and we supersetted that with some kettlebell rear delts as well. So I kind of like to, again, using some antagonist muscle groups. So while my chest was resting, I was kind of working the rear delt. And you can see a lot of these movements with the upper back. A common theme is I'm really trying to get my shoulder blades kind of apart to kind of help with that kind of back thickness, if you will. So after that, we did a little bit of a superset. Again, I did some push-ups with an extended range of motion holding the dumbbells. And then I did some hammer curls to work and some regular curls. So kind of, the difference between a kind of a hammer curl, you're going to use more of a semi-supinated or a neutral grip, which is going to work a different, I believe, the brachialis, or a different part of the bicep. Whereas when you're fully supinating or when your palm is up, that's going to work your bicep a little bit differently. So we're definitely kind of working in hammer curls as well as your kind of more traditional curls where you're going through, you might go from like a neutral or semi-supinated position to a fully supinated position where your palm is facing up. One of the things that we've been working on with the biceps is thinking about the cue of driving the pinky up toward the ceiling. And a lot of these things we're working on different, not just moving moving the body, but also engaging the muscles. So when I'm doing these kettlebell push-ups, I'm also thinking about kind of pulling my elbows together. Even though it's not possible, that's my intent, and that's going to put the emphasis more on my chest versus the triceps. And then from there, we did a little bit more arm. You'll see some arm and tricep work. You'll see I did it using this really cool apparatus, a spreader bar. So you can see a lot of these handles are going to be more accommodating to the body, so they're not fixed. So we're going to use a lot more apparatuses that are not fixed as well. So again, some kind of preacher type curls, some spider curls, if you will, to really stretch the biceps. So a lot of these exercises, we're trying to get a good stretch on the muscle and then a good peak contraction. So we're kind of attacking these muscles from different angles. And then we finished with some side laterals. And a lot of times with these side laterals, I tend to do as many full range reps as I can, and then go into partial reps to really kind of extend the set and just get a lot of muscle activation as well. So that's the first day. So that is day one. Day two, arguably, it's one of my favorites, also one of the harder workouts. And we rigged up using a glute ham raise. We rigged up a nice little band leg extension and band leg curl. So we did a seated leg curl and seated leg extension superset, as well as some hanging leg raises in between. So this was fun. This was a cool day. It can be cumbersome to try to set up these things, but this worked out pretty well. One of the things that we did to mitigate some of the issues of the height, we used a pad to prop up our bodies for the leg extensions, and that seemed to work pretty well. And we kind of played with the tension there. So if you don't have access to machines, this worked really well. Just need to make sure you have a strong anchor point for the leg extensions and the leg curls. But this was really great. We did high reps on these. So this is a really great way to also pre-exhaust the muscle, get some blood around the knees before you do any type of squatting. So that's one of the things that really common in bodybuilders. They would do some isolation work first to kind of get the muscles warm, get some blood in there before doing their compound lifts, which is one of the biggest differences between the powerlifting training that I found and the bodybuilding style training. So on this particular day, we did a belt squat. We used Matt Wenning's belt squat machine, and we did a lot of band tension. Again, so the benefit of adding the band tension is obviously the belt squat is very spine friendly, but depending on how you do it and depending on if you are proficient with the machine or not, or your anthropometry, it could put some stress on the knees, especially if you're trying to do a more quad dominant squat. So one way to mitigate that is by adding band tension. Again, so when you're mechanically stronger, it's going to be heavier at the top, stimulating a little bit more quad and glute activation to kind of teach you to push through the movement. And at the bottom, where your knees might be more vulnerable to some shear forces and things like that, you're going to be more unloaded. So we did some belt squats with Matt Wennings, and I did some different sets that were more quad dominant and some sets that were more hip dominant. Typically on this day, I tend to use it more as a leg day, so I do more of a quad dominant style squat where I'm more upright and my knees are more forward. And I would superset that with some donkey style calf raises, if you will, with the belt squat machine as well. So kind of leaning over and trying to get a big stretch in my calves. So the belt squat machine is also an excellent tool for the calf raise. And then supersetted that in between, I used some short bands from Elite FTS to work my outer hip. So this is a seated abduction / external rotation. So I'm just really trying to focus on driving the knees out and working the outer hip here. Great exercise to work your outer hip, and also great exercise if you're trying to improve your hip strength for powerlifting as well. And then from there, we did another superset. So I did some glute ham raise sit-ups, crunches. So just some controlled spinal flexion and not trying to use a lot of momentum on these. And then did some glute ham raise as well. So I'm trying to focus on doing a hip extension into a leg curl. So a lot of people kind of mess these up by overextending the back too much. And then from there, I did a little bit of barbell hyperextension. So this was really kind of destroyed the hammies and the glutes here. So that was a really good lower body day. This was a lot of fun. Did some drop sets there. And then on day 3, we did a little stretchers on the lat pull down. So essentially you're kind of starting in a really fully stretched position of the lats and then extending the back and extending the shoulders at the same time. So it almost is like a hybrid pull down row. And I did some fat bell shrugs after that. So this is day 3 is kind of like a back emphasis day. We did some steel rows with the kabuki trap bar. That was fun. So we used some different grips there. And then in between, we did some upright rows and lateral raises after that. Then from there, I did some heavy one-arm dumbbell rows, really trying to get a good stretch in the lat and pulling toward the hip there. And then some triceps extensions in between. And then from there, some more upper back work as well, just some kind of pullover type motions and some other upper back work to finish up, and some more triceps to finish that particular day. On day 4 is going to be another upper body kind of pressing emphasis day. So we did, again, some more band work with the reverse flies. I used some of the Grey Cook bands on this particular day. That worked really well for the reverse flies and the pec flies as well. So the Cook bands are typically used for physical therapy. In this particular case, we use it for kind of getting some blood in the pecs. And then after that, we did a little axle incline press and then some pull-ups and upper back work in between. I really enjoy the axle bar. Some of the benefits of a thick bar training is going to be it's going to make the surface area bigger, so it's a little bit easier on the joints. Another kind of benefit of it is actually reduces the range of motion a little bit. So something like an incline press, not everyone is able to maybe go to quote-unquote full range of motion to their chest comfortably, so the axle bar makes it a little bit of a shorter range of motion. So while it's some great benefit to make it a little bit more joint friendly on your wrists, shoulders, and elbows as well. So you get a little bit less range of motion and also a little bit more surface area on the joints, a little bit easier on the wrists and elbows from the fat bar standpoint, and a little bit easier on the shoulders from the range of motion standpoint. If you did have a lot of range of motion, you did want a bigger stretch, you could use fat grips in place of the axle bar, and that would actually extend the range of motion since it only makes the part where you grab thicker and not the middle of the bar. So that's a consideration as well, if depending on what your goals are and your mobility capability. From there, we did some fat bell pressing and some more upper back work in between. I really like the center mass bells. They're a little bit more close to your joint as opposed to the dumbbell, where you have to deal with more of the inertia that kind of goes outside of your wrists and hands. So the fat bells are really comfortable. You can also go a little bit deeper with them, so I really enjoy the center mass bells, especially for pressing, but a lot of different movements, so great option if you have access to them. And then again, some more upper back work in between. So that was a good, fun superset there. And then from there, we did some curls, as well as I did some bottoms up overhead presses to kind of work my shoulders a little bit and also work the stabilizers. So bottoms up pressing, a lot of times is used in physical therapy type situations. Your grip strength has been kind of linked to shoulder health. So if you're able to stabilize, if your shoulder is not healthy, you won't be able to stabilize the joint, to my understanding. So there's some better physical therapists that can explain it better than me. But that's kind of the rationale for me using the bottoms up press there. It's going to limit the weight I could do a little bit and make sure I'm getting good shoulder stability, because that's been an issue that I've had in the past. And then from there, we did some more curls and winning triceps, which is like a chest-supported tricep kickback, which has been one of my favorites. Really good contraction at the top, and it's really shoulder and elbow friendly, so definitely give that a try. This is my preferred way to do a kickback. I don't really like to do kickbacks without chest support, so learned this from Matt Wenning. Great tricep movement, and he has some very strong triceps, so it's definitely worth a try. He has a 600-pound close grip bench to his credit, so there's definitely something to be said there. Day 5 might be my second favorite day. It's another leg day, another killer. We started off with some Ukrainian deadlifts, I think they call them, but essentially it's a deficit stiff leg dead. We did it with a kettlebell, standing on blocks. This is really fun. We did a little tricep. We did that with a glute bridge with RNT, so with a hip circle or short band above the knees. And then what was the other? And then we did some TKE, terminal knee extension, sissy squats. This is a great option again if you don't have a leg extension machine. It's just a very short terminal knee extension with the band. So the bands are kind of pulling your knees forward, and you need to pull your knees kind of backward and flex the quads. Great exercise. Looks kind of silly, but it's excellent way. And then if you kind of do a squat with it, some people call it like a Spanish squat, but just a very, very good exercise for the quads and teaches you to extend the knees. And if you are someone like a power lifter who has trouble locking out the knees at a deadlift, this is a great exercise to correct soft knees as well. So again, we did the TKEs, the Ukrainian deadlift, and the glute bridges first, and then we did some ab wheel rollouts, superset with a belt squat. Good morning. Experimented with actually a sled harness on this particular day, and this made it a little bit more glute emphasis since the anchor point was lower and actually like right directly under my hip. In the past, I've done it with a front squat harness, which made it a little bit more of an upper back emphasis. So both are good if you have a lower back injury or some issues there. The front squat harness will be a little bit more challenging, won't be able to use as much weight. So the sled harness would be good if you want to just make it more glute dominant and take your lower back and upper back a little bit more out of the equation. If you want to work your entire posterior chain and your entire back, I like the front squat harness. So we'll kind of show some examples of both, but I just, since I did a little bit of a promo video and I deadlifted 495 for a triple the day before, just as an extra workout to promo our heat wave meet, I did 495 with about 120 pounds of band tension for a triple. And for not actually doing a real deadlift with more than 315 for 2.5 months, I was pretty darn happy with that. And it actually is it shows you that if you just work the muscle, you don't necessarily have to work the exercise to keep your strength. So that was pretty cool that I was able to, deadlift 500 pounds plus band tension for a couple of reps pretty handily. So that was fun. But my lower back was kind of smoked, so using the sled harness was a good option on this particular day. This was a really fun thing after that, after doing the ab wheel. And then with the ab wheel, we actually had our legs elevated as well to kind of take our lower back out of it and help us stay neutral. So the ab wheel is great to work your lats and lats as well as your abs isometrically. Trying to resist extension here. Just like with the belt squats we talked about on day 2, on day 5, we're going to do a leg press against bands. So same thing, the leg press can potentially aggravate some people's knees in the bottom or create, that sort of thing. So by using band tension as the primary resistance, that mitigates a lot of the problem. So we did some hack squats and leg press against the bands. We did a hack squat warm-up to get the knees warm. And then we did leg press against bands for very high reps with some calves in between. This was a lot of fun. My legs were burning after this. We had the Godzilla bands on there from Spud Inc., which provides a lot of tension, so you don't need a lot of weight on there. So that was fun. So leg press, a great movement, just to kind of take your lower back out of the equation and to work your legs specifically. Use a range of motion you can control. Don't overdo it. So that's really important. That's a common mistake on the leg press I see is sometimes people try to go too deep and their kind of back comes off the pad and tucks under. So don't try to be a hero. Don't be a hero with weight or range of motion. Use this for higher reps and more for hypertrophy. Don't use it for strength. But that's my advice and what I've found to be helpful for that. And then from there, I did finish off with some Copenhagen planks. That's going to work the obliques and adductors. That was fun. I was really tired at this point, so I only did like 2 sets. And then some Bulgarian split squats to finish up to work single leg, one leg at a time to work some balance there. Then final day 6, we did a little dip and chin up superset. This is a little bit of an easier day in terms of intensity, in terms of joint stress. Not as many barbells on this particular day or like really big compound movements. But the dips and chins are really great for kind of working your whole body. If you didn't really have any equipment, doing dips and chins is probably the best way if you were pressed for time in terms of working your entire upper back and entire like anterior and posterior chain for your upper body. So you're working your biceps, your back, your lats, your chest, your triceps, your shoulders. You're kind of hitting everything. Again, you want to try to find a range of motion that you can own, that you can control, and that you can tolerate. There are many ways you could see to kind of adjust the angle with the dips. On this particular day, we did it with elevated kettlebells to kind of force you to stabilize a little bit and slow down the eccentric. You want to be mindful to not go into more shoulder extension than you could handle. Not a lot of people have a lot of internal rotation, especially bigger guys, so be cautious with the range of motion. And again, use it for the purpose of training the muscle, and don't really overextend the range if you don't have it. Again, for somebody that's been really cranky with their shoulders, dips have been kind of hit or miss, but since I've gotten lighter and more control in my shoulders and stronger at these isolation exercises, I've been able to do these pain-free. So that's really exciting for me. After that, we did some wide grip lat pull downs with machines and bands. And really, again, trying to really stretch the back and move the shoulder blades upward. And then from there, when we did a barbell tricep overextension, really trying to, again, stretch the tricep fully and extend at the top. And then from there, I just finished off with some face pulls and triceps in a big superset fashion. So to kind of recap again, so it's 6 days a week. It's 4 upper body days and 2 lower body days. 1 day is kind of really kind of focused on back, and 2 days is kind of like more full body for full upper body, I should say. So we're kind of covering all our bases. I'll kind of start to go into more depth in terms of cardio and diet in future episodes, but I want to kind of give a little bit of a layout of what my training has looked like the past couple of months and what's to come. I'm really excited. This is the leanest I've been. This has been a really great journey for me. I'm not quitting powerlifting. I'm just kind of going back and forth between focusing on hypertrophy and focusing on strength. And I'm really excited to kind of share this journey with you. So if this video helped you, please like it, please subscribe, please check out the links below if you want to support the program. And thank you guys so much for watching our first episode in the Stage Ready series. And until next time, stay strong. We'll see you soon.